Welcome back to Nerds R Us. Today we're talking about books to movies. What's good about them, what's bad about them, what we'd like to see more of. Ike, what's a good book to movie that you've personally seen?
It's probably one of my favorite newer iterations. We were just talking about Neil Gaiman too, and he did, it's not a movie, but I mean, he did the American Gods series. And
is that a good book to TV show? Because I've read the book, but I haven't watched the TV show.
Yeah, I was about to say, I've only seen like one episode, but it was really well done.
I feel like they should just exclusively only allow books to be made into TV shows so they can actually like cover everything in the book.
Yeah, get some more depth in there.
Because every time I watch a book to a movie, I'm like, oh, I see you cut out 3/4 of that book. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that was a nice intro. I'm glad you decided to put the forward into the book. Into the movie. Thanks for that.
The very first and the very last scene of the book make a movie. So,
what about movie-wise? What's a good book to movie that you've seen recently?
I've still yet to see Ready Player One, but I've heard that one was dope.
I know. I talked to a lot of people who read the book of that movie, and they didn't like the movie.
Really?
Yeah. A lot of people said like there was like excess emphasis on a love scene, which is not apparently a big deal in the book. I don't know. I haven't read the book, so I can't say, but I'm pretty fucking stoked just because I like pop culture.
Yeah.
And if you could put like Deathstroke, Harley Quinn, and the Iron Giant in the same movie, I'll watch the fuck out of that.
Right? No shit. So like personally, I enjoyed the Maze Runner series. I feel like they've
done the Maze Runner series. Have you read the books though?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it good?
Mean, it's comparatively like you can never really get too close with a fucking book to movie transition, but I mean, comparatively, I feel like they're pretty well covered.
What about casting? Did they do a good job of casting characters? Because I always like wonder about that when it comes to casting of character for a movie. Because it's like, unless it's a picture book, it's like, you know, it's in your head. I mean, they describe what they look like, but you still imagine them to a certain amount.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you see the movie and you're like, that's not what I thought at all.
You always have a little bit different viewpoint. Well, not always, but like Hermione was pretty fucking accurate.
That was accurate. So pretty much everything was accurate. Although all they need is like, all right, we need a brown hair girl, a ginger, and a kid with glasses.
Yeah,
pretty sure we can make that work.
We can make this happen. But yeah, no, I feel like at least the main actors and stuff were really well put together for that.
Sometimes side characters are like more important to like the book than they are made in the movie.
Yeah,
and that bugs me. Like, there's a character in the Hunger Games series. I can't remember his name, but he's played by Lenny Kravitz in the movie, and he's like a big part of the main girl's like story. And he like makes her costume and stuff for like all the parades and stuff they have to do before they go into the arena and kill each other and shit. And it's like a big part of the story, and he kind of a big part of the movie, but nowhere near like what actually happens in the book and how central and integral he is to like her character build up.
Yeah.
And I don't think they covered it as well as they could have.
Yeah.
Did you see It? Was that good? I still haven't seen it.
Dude, no, the new It was actually really solid. I feel like they did a good job with kind of referencing the original movie, but
because I'm a huge fan of the original movie. Even though it's a TV movie, it's like super well made and really good.
Yeah.
They do a real good job. And what I like about the original one is they don't do what all other horror movies do nowadays, is they don't like completely rely only on jump scares. They like got into the psyche of it and like what kids are actually afraid of. Did they do that with the remake, or?
I feel like they did a better iteration of that. I mean, like, as a little kid, when I first watched it, I mean, it definitely freaked me out, but it wasn't, like, super scary. Like, I mean, Chucky and, like, fucking Friday the 13th, those fucked with me, but, like, it was scary, but, I mean, like, I got over it pretty quick. The only thing is, like, showering in the basement, having the tile, so, like, we had a tile fucking shower in the basement or whatever.
Oh, yeah, we had to shower. Then,
yeah, that fucked with me so hard. I was like, oh, hell no, man. He's going to claymation his ass up out of that bitch.
Yeah. So in the book, they, like, really focus on the fact, like, of the time frame that they're set in where racism is, like, still a big issue. Like, they say the N-word, I think it's, like, over 300 times throughout the book. Did that ever happen in the new movie? Did they, like, actually address it, or does anybody actually say it.
I mean, I feel like it was more skimmed over for
More
sure.
skimmed over.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure they didn't want to boycott the movie or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like a big part of the book. Like, they're like, yeah, this is set in this time frame where people still don't like black people. They're going to say this word a lot.
Well, and I feel like I feel like there was more that could have been done to kind of like show that aspect of the book. But I feel like yet again, it was probably more of an issue, a racy issue that they're like, that might cause
We want to sell some
problems.
tickets, so we're just going to leave that out. Yeah, the thing about Stephen King books is like there's a lot of Stephen King books that have had good like book to movies. Like I thought both the old and the new Carrie were good. I think there's a couple I really like. I like Pet Sematary. That one's pretty good. I mean, even though like the thing with like a lot of Stephen King movies is a lot of them came out at a time when special effects were not anywhere close to where they are now. So they're like good, but they're still pretty cheesy looking just because there's not much they could do about it.
Yeah.
And so it kind of takes you out of the horror aspect of the book. But I mean, I still felt like they did a really good job with the remake of Carrie because they could do more with it, with the type of effects they have. They could make a car crush in that scene where she like fucking kills that other girl, and I was like, yeah, fuck that bitch. But yeah, you couldn't do that like in the old movie. They could have just like maybe had somebody stop the car with like a cinder block.
Yeah.
Whoa. But there's more that they can do now. So like as far as like acting and like actual story goes, those old Stephen King movies are good. But it was just like they came off so much more cheesy than like the actual books, just because there was not much you could do.
Dude, I remember reading Pet Sematary as a kid, and that was like super fucking intense. That freaked me out a lot because like my sister was super into reading, so she always read way more than I did. She was a super nerd bookworm type person, and I would still go out and play outside a lot. But I mean, I did like my reading time and stuff too. So, like, I mean, she got into Goosebumps at a really young age, and I was like, man, those aren't that fucking scary. And so I started reading them, and they really weren't too bad.
They weren't horrible. There were a couple. The ones that got me, even like, because they did the Goosebumps TV show, which I thought they did a super good job with those, even though, like, it was still at a time when also effects were still pretty shitty. So now I watch them, I'm like, this is, like, the worst thing I've ever seen. But, I mean, the one with the doll that talks and stuff, and that one always freaks me out. Something about dolls is just always creepy. No matter what.
Wasn't it the one we showed our buddy Jamal? And that was the one where she became the child and the child became...
No, that was R.L. Stein's Haunting Hour, which are also based off like the books, but they're not based off Goosebumps books, I think. But they're still like kid scary. But some of them are like kind of actually like, oh, I see what you're doing there. That's kind of freaky.
Yeah.
What is the worst like book to movie transition that you've ever seen? Where you read the book and you were like, oh fuck, they're making a movie of this shit? Let's go right now. And then you walk out and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna go into traffic real quick and just let them take me out because I've never been more disappointed in my life.
God, I would have to say probably Eragon.
Eragon? That's my number one too.
Yeah.
Any kid who read Eragon and went and watched that movie regardless of their age. I've never seen a book to movie completely stray from the story of the book so bad in my life.
It was in a time where they had like
and it wasn't even
visuals.
It wasn't even like
too.
like
so
the visuals were like good, like the dragon looked good and stuff like that. I was like, all right, well, nobody in this movie can act. Except for, like, the one guy who plays Brahm, the old guy.
Yeah.
Because he's, like, a seasoned actor, and he's, like, really good. I'm sure he was like, I'm just taking the paycheck, because this movie's going to suck fuck up balls.
Yeah, he's like,
I read
my part of the script, and it was
they're like, intro, and jump to the third act, and jump to the second act. Oh, hey, you know how we introduce this character in the book, and it takes, like, 3 chapters, because it's a really big deal? He just shows up, and he's like, hey, bro, I've been following you. My name's Murtag. What's up? And then they just, like, become friends instantly and for no reason.
I forgot about that, dude.
They just, like, show up and he's like, I don't know, you're a stranger. You want to join us on our journey to save the day? Even though you could totally be a bad guy and we know nothing about you. They don't address that at all, but they totally address it in the book. And then
you're just going to help us fight these guys, right? Okay, cool.
And the final battle in the first book with the main bad guy, who's not the main bad guy of the whole story arc, but he's essentially like the equivalent of a ring wraith for that freaking book, and they just made it super shitty and not cool and super non-climactic. And as soon as they didn't make a second one, I was like, thank God, because they would have fucked that up too.
Well, that was the thing, is I remember when that was coming out, I was probably
I was like 10, so you would have been like 12.
There was a third book out, right?
There's 4 books, I think.
But when that movie came out, I think they were on.
Yeah, they are in the third one. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and I was either the third or the fourth. I can't remember what order they came out and shit. But yeah, so like I was on the third book, I do believe, when that first movie came out, and I was like, hell yeah! And I went and watched that fucking movie, and I had a hard time finishing the rest of the third book because I was like,
just so fucking disappointed.
I was so fucking mad about that shit. I was like, this is bullshit. I never end up reading the fourth book. I have no fucking idea what happened because I was just like, because that happened, and then I think it was right around the same time like Harry Potters were out and stuff too.
Harry Potters were good. They did a good job of being like sticking to the source material and getting the main story arc out there and stuff like that, but still being like, okay, obviously we can't include everything from an 800-page Harry Potter book in this, hour and a half movie. So they covered like the main points, really got the character plots together. Everybody was cast really well. Dumbledore was cast really well. I thought Snape was cast really well. There's not a single teacher or student. The guy that got to play Draco Malfoy, I was like, oh, this character's a douche when I was reading the book. And I was like, hey, that guy looks like a douche.
That was
perfect
very,
casting.
Very apt casting, in my opinion. And his dad, even more so.
Lucius Malfoy, I was like, dude, they cast these guys. Like, they were like, let's get the most, like, Aryan Brotherhood people we can find to play these characters. I
mean, down to the fucking details of, like, how narrow his nose was and, like, how it pointed up and just the finite stuff. I was like, that was
they even pushed it to the max. And, like, even now when I look back at the first Harry Potter movie, I'm like, okay, I see where these effects were still kind of lacking, but they put a lot of effort into detail. They put a lot of effort. They put the Whomping Willow outside from first movie all the way to the last. Mm-hmm. They made an integral part. They did a good job with the spider, getting the exact type of spider it was and making it look like what you pictured it to be in the book. In my opinion, I thought everybody was cast. I thought freaking, oh my god, who's Harry's godfather? I'm fucking drawing a blank over here. Sirius Black. Oh. Yeah, I thought he was cast super well. Gary Oldman, always a win there.
Yeah.
What's another movie that you thought had good casting? Because I read the book, Interview with a Vampire, because I'm secretly gay, and I thought, like, I'd seen the movie before I ever read the book, but I read the book just because I had nothing else to read. I was like, alright, I like this movie, I'll read the book. And after reading the book, I was like, oh my god, they cast Tom Cruise as that character so well. Like, I thought, when I first saw the movie, I was like, Tom Cruise in a vampire movie? Like, what?
Yeah.
That came out before I would have, like, or at least around the time when I would have never, like, watched it when I was old enough to, like, see that type of movie.
Yeah.
And, I mean, him and Brad Pitt were just cast super well. And Antonio Banderas was cast super well. And, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they had to leave out of the book. Like, there's a whole scene where, because they go to Europe and then they meet Antonio Banderas' character, but there's a scene in Europe before that where they go and they, like, they're looking for other vampires, and they, like, find this whole, like, area in Europe where there's all these, like feral vampires, and they're not, like, normal, and they're, like, evil, like, way more, like, evil and more, like, animalistic and stuff, and they end up, like, fighting one of them. That's the whole thing, and they obviously cut that out of the movie, and they went straight to the part where he meets Antonio Banderas' character, but it's still, like, I was like, okay, yeah, it sucks that you left that out, because I actually really like that part of the book, but still, overall, I mean, pretty solid, like, book-to-movie situation there.
Yeah. God, I remember watching, that was kind of the same situation with me in, like, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah, because that was, like, I watched that when I was fucking, I don't even remember how old I was.
It was for a while.
I was about to say, I was pretty fucking young. Like, it was a movie I probably should not have been watching, and my parents were just just intrigued enough by the movie that they didn't care that I was there. I think it was more the situation.
It's considered like one of the greatest movies to ever be made. So
yeah, and I remember thinking, God, this is a fantastic movie. Like it was very, like inspiring. I mean, oh God, it was super depressing in some parts, and I feel like they did a good job.
So you read the book?
I read the book later on, like you were saying, yeah. And I feel like they did a good job with the attention to detail on the old man. I can't remember his name. I'm drawing a blank. He gets out and hangs himself.
I've never seen the movie or read the book, so I actually have no idea what you're talking about.
God, dude.
It's been on my list forever. Just keep running this situation up. I'll watch it later.
I'll watch it eventually. I think I own it if you want to borrow it, but I might even still own the book. But yeah, so anyways, the old man getting out and hanging himself because he just can't cope with the outside world. He's been away for so long that he just can't cope, and he tries getting back in. I think he was trying to rob a bank or some shit to like get locked back up again because he gets out and he just goes crazy. He's alone in the world.
Does that happen in the book? Or is
yeah, and that was like a really big like key point for that because like I don't know. I mean, like I've always kind of felt like that'd be the case too if you spend that much time in. I mean.
Yeah.
What do you get out after 20 years and I mean shit, look how far technology has advanced in 20 years, man. We got fucking cameras on everything now. Cameras go everywhere. Body cams for cops, I mean fucking sunglasses cams that you can't even see and shit, screw cameras and weird shit. Like that wasn't around 20 years ago. I mean a camera was a full-size camera.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid, it was big, bulky, awkward, and to get out and just not have any fucking clue what's going on anymore. Kept pretty sheltered. I mean, you get some, technology advances in there, but I mean...
Nowhere near, like, what's happening on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, not going to prison is awesome. Yeah, I feel like a lot of Stephen King books that are not horror movies that are made into movies are really, really good. Like, Stand By Me is a really good, like, story in the book form, or in a short story form, I guess. And it's, like, a really, really good movie. I've never met anybody who doesn't like that movie. It's an all-star cast. You got freaking Will Wheaton, which is a great casting. You got freaking, not Walking, you got River Phoenix in there. Also great casting. There's a lot of people in there who are just, like, it's really well cast. It's a good coming-of-age story. And they did a good job of capturing that inside the movie, which I thought was really good.
I don't think I've ever seen that one still.
You've never seen Stand By Me?
No.
We gotta trade movies, apparently. Shit.
I was about to say, I know, I recognize the name, and I'm drawing a blank on that one.
Okay, I think we're at the part in our episode where it's time to do our head-to-head. We're gonna compare two book to movies. We're gonna compare the movies and see which one actually was good and which one fell to the wayside and didn't capture everybody's love for the book. What movie are you bringing to the table today?
I'm gonna go with It.
The remake or the original one?
I'd say the remake.
You think the remake?
Yeah.
Oh, fancy man with his fancy technology.
I just like the scene down in Its lair a little bit better. I think it was.
Yeah. It was another one of those situations where the technology just couldn't capture what is displayed in the words that Stephen King writes in the book.
Yeah.
And it's just like, a flash of light, and there's some, and like when that movie came out on TV, there was a guy standing in the background just turning the light like on and off.
Yeah.
Flashlight. Yeah, that's one of the bad things. All right, I'm going to bring to the table, I'll bring Interview with the Vampire starring Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise. Ladies. And that movie is really good. They did a good job of like not relying too hard on technology to make realize that they're vampires.
Mm-hmm.
They put in contacts and they gave them fangs, but they didn't make them come out all the time. They were just always there.
Yeah.
And so they were like, okay, we're going to work with what we have. There were a couple times where they would like move fast or something, but they made up for it by like just cutting the camera away and then cutting it back to where they quickly moved so you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So they were like, he's so fast you couldn't see it.
Yeah, the camera.
He's the fastest man alive.
Hands.
Yeah, but they did a super good job. I thought all the casting was good. Tom Cruise was great. Brad Pitt was great. even Christian Slater's character, which is actually not like a super like major character in the book. I mean, he interviews Brad Pitt's character in the book, but there's not very much of him talking. It's mostly Brad Pitt's character talking in the book, and that also happens in the movie, but he still did a really good job. Especially there's a scene at the end where he's all like, why don't you just change me to a vampire? Like, that's why you brought me up here, obviously. Obviously, like, you could give me the gift of eternal life, you know, and he did, like, they did a good job of playing up the fact that he was like, well, I want that, you know, like, I'm just a human, I want you want. Brad Pitt's character was like, you don't fucking want this, you know, shit that. Yeah, so, I mean, I thought overall, for, like, the times, but, like, story and acting-wise, I thought they did a really good job of capturing what was in the book and doing as much as they could within the time frame of the movie.
Yeah, for sure. And that was kind of like I feel like they did a really good job with the cast and everything for the newer It as well. And I feel like they were still good at paying homage to, you know, the original movie and stuff, and references and stuff. And I feel like they went a little bit more in depth and had a little bit more accuracy. Obviously, like you were saying, with the extra technology added on, but in some of those things with the raciness of it and stuff, book compared to movie, I feel like that was a more pivotal point that they chose
that they had to brush
avoid
over
for, you know, for ticket sales, you know, for box office reasons. And yes, that's smart. But at the same time, it
sucks for people who are fans of the book.
Yeah, exactly. Is it really going to, you know, bring that out? I feel like it captured a lot of newer audience. So, I mean, I feel like that was good. But at the same time, I also feel like Interview with the Vampire is probably one of my, you know, all-time favorite movies.
It's like one of the vampire movies that were actually good, but before vampire movies started to immediately go downhill.
Yeah, it was one of the few really good vampire movies because it wasn't just obsessed with, you know, the violence and the gore of it. It was more of a life
decision where they focused on like this is awesome, but it also fucking sucks. Yeah,
they gave you a better overview of like what it would actually be like to be one of these quote-unquote vampires and whatnot. So overall, I feel like it was a fantastic movie. It did great in the box office, but I feel like Interview with the Vampire was definitely a better out of the two book to movie.
Better out of the two? Okay. Yeah. There it is, Interview with the Vampire, better book to movie. Read both books, guys. Support your authors. Support your local theaters, even though they're all corporate, but they're local to you. And feel free to hit us up on Facebook. You can find us at Nerds R Us. That's our Facebook page. You can find our website, nerdsrus.com. That's NRDRUS.com. It'll take you right to us. You can download all our new episodes, including this one, and just listen to them at your convenience. Also, if you want to support us, you can find us on Patreon and donate $1 or $2 and help us pick out our head-to-head and also get a shout-out on our podcast. Costs the same amount you'd spend on a shitty hamburger, so it seems pretty worth it to me. Either way, guys, thanks for listening. Check us out on any of our avenues, and we'll talk to you later.